Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we paint a little bit of a landscape around the winter time. So I started by wetting the paper and then mixing a little bit of raw sienna with opera rose and adding it to the wet paper. Then I have a little bit of a purple mixed out of opera rose and some cobalt blue. And then slowly spreading it around. It's quite important that you add the light colors first, such as the red and the raw sienna. And then I add some salt, sprinkle some salt while the paper is still wet. So I thought it gives a really nice effect. Adding for the lake, which is supposed to be frozen, some cobalt blue. However, I did not actually really wet the lake area. Then I wait till everything has dried and mix a stronger purple of the cobalt blue and the opera rose, and then creating a little bit of a trees in the background. I use a little bit of a bigger brush. I have mixtures of a stronger purple and then also watered down a little bit so it's not too boring. And then adding a little bit more of this cobalt blue. Then I add the same colors as I have used for the sky. So some opera rose and some raw sienna, and then mixing it with the purple. I try not to overpaint everything. I have to admit it was more of a spontaneous painting, so I have not really planned it out. Then I here have the same colors as I used for the sky, but then I add a little bit more of burnt sienna. And then adding more of indigo blue, so making a darker brown. I have those colors ready, so I don't need to panic and mix them while I'm painting. Mostly I did not add, actually I did not wet the tree trunk before. Now you can see here's a little bit of a darker brown, which is coming from adding of more of a indigo blue and then raw sienna mixed together. I use a good quality paper for this painting, so the colors are coming out better. Now I use a little bit of darker indigo blue on the ground. It's a very light brown and it starts to get a little bit more grey, but this is the point kind of because it's a wintry scenery. And having more bluish colors around the trunk and as well in the background. And adding a little bit of stronger purple at the back to already create some shapes. And then I continue with the branches, so I still have the same brown which I used for the tree trunk. As it is winter, the tree hasn't got much of leaves, but just really thin branches, and I use a little bit of a swing motion to create those branches. Then I decided to have some trees at the back. I use the same brown basically and very light colors. Try to use my pinky finger as to stable my hand and to draw those lines, but they are supposed to be quite wobbly trees. And some more branches here, there, as well as to the side. Here I add I'm adding a little bit of leaves, but as I said, those give kind of like impression of winter atmosphere, so they're not really like leaves, but it's kind of like a little bit imitating branches, which are very blurry. I didn't want to add too many dark branches at the tree, so I kind of like decided to capture the attention and the focus as well, and so the tree does not look as naked. Here I add some more of the purple, basically the same purpose as I have used before, which is mixing with the reddish colors. And then spreading the bluish colors at the back behind the tree, where I apply a very light layer of blue. Also leaving some previous dry patches so that it gives an idea of bushes. I continue at the back and adding stronger colors of the same purple, adding more blue and applying it on the dry painting, creating more of the shadows that there are a lot of trees, and having some tree trunks as well. I always try to leave a little bit of space so it's not overcrowded. Here a little bit more of the purple, and then I spread it with water so it's not too dark, and then adding here more of a darker tree. And then I continue with the trunk, or the bottom of the trunk, and adding stronger colors so that the roots of the tree become more clear, as well as the tree pops out a little bit more. Behind the main tree, I continue with a small darker tree. Some branches. I think for me it's really difficult to actually paint a tree that looks like a tree with the branches, so it's worth practicing. Then another tree, which is not as straight, to create different directions, and then continue with the ground and front of the main tree. I wanted to leave the white patches because it is winter, but I wanted to add some more of the darker colors as well to emphasize these snow patches, and maybe adding a little bit of dead grass. Then I continue with adding more of a darker colors to the main tree, so a tree kind of like sticks out, and using basically the same purple which I have used before. I try to make sure that it's kind of like in the shape of the branches, the thicker branches, as well as emphasizes the roundness of the trunk. Here are the darker colors, which are basically of darker shade of indigo blue, and then spreading it a little bit with water around while it's still wet. I continue to add more of a structure to the tree, and here a little bit of a brownish colors, but still quite dark. And some more of a darker indigo blue, which flows basically into the other colors because it's still quite wet. Maybe taking off to add some more highlight to the branches. Now the tree is basically dry, and I add a little bit more of a darker branch, which also goes into the left side. As I said, I didn't have really that much of a plan how to paint the tree, so it's very spontaneous. Where to add some branches and still keep the painting relatively simple. Again with swing motion, adding some more darker branches. Then at the back, a little bit further away from the tree, I add a small bridge using the same darker colors as I have used before. So the bridge gives a little bit of a darker spot and then more and another focal point. I was thinking to add there as well some more tree lines, but not too strong and not too overpowering, taking the attention from the bridge. Adding a little bit of a darker blue to the back, so it's not too light. Here with my fingernails, added some more grass to the darker parts of the tree, and then continue spreading a little bit more of a blue. And adding here and there a little bit of more structure, some more grass, but I try not to use too much with wet at this point. And basically it's a darker shade or darker pigments of indigo blue that I use now. The painting is dried, and after some critic from my husband that the tree looks a little bit too bulky, I took off some of the side of the tree and then making one of the branches a little bit thicker with a light layer of the purple brownish colors. And then I continue to add a little bit more of a structure, adding some darker shades to the tree trunk. And then adding with some light brushes and more lines for the branches of the tree, so it kind of creates a more rounder shape. I hope you enjoyed watching it, and I hope you paint it as well. And remember to subscribe. Bye!